Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about how to feel like a priority, even when you know you're in a good relationship. So I know this episode is going to really hit you in the heart if you know that he cares or loves or likes you, but you want to feel it more. You want to just turn that volume up, or you know that they care, but you feel like maybe there's a lot of weight that you have to lift, that you have to initiate, that you're making the plans or something like that. Or maybe you know logically that they've got a lot of stuff going on. He's tired from work, or they have obligations, they've got family, things are happening that are big, that are a big lift for them. And at the same time, you can't help but think, I just want to be thought of, right? I want them to think of me. And while I know that those are really heavy, what's even heavier, I feel, is just feeling so tired. It's so exhausting from this constant kind of vetting of what I would call reality. You're vetting reality, where you are constantly weighing and checking your own perceptions. You're weighing things out in your head, and you're looking at some facts, and you just kind of feel like there is this constant back and forth. And I just am thinking this back and forth and feeling the back and forth. It feels like wind sprints. It's just really exhausting to just go back and forth in your mind around, well, they've got this going on, but well, I feel this way. So that's something that I know is really big, and that going back and forth can feel like, yeah, wind sprints. It can also feel like you're just kind of in this mud pit and you just can't get out, like you're trying to get out of it. And it's also something that I know in the Healing Girl Gang, my community, it's something that I really pride myself in giving you tangible ways, a tangible process that you experience to actually climb out of that exhaustion and to get in a place where you do feel like they are thinking about you. You realize that they do care about you. You feel that in your body. So, that being said, if you're new here, my name is Claire. I am a relationship coach, and I love helping high achieving, high performing girlies and people who you're crushing it in your career. You're climbing the corporate ladder and you are getting the corner office. You're doing it. Or maybe you're an academic. Maybe you are in med school or have gone to med school. You've got letters behind your name, Esquire, things like that. Or also, you might be an entrepreneur. Maybe you are investing in real estate, or you have a digital business. And while on paper, everything looks amazing, on the inside, you are struggling internally with feeling more connected with them, with feeling like you can trust their words, even though all the evidence has points to they deeply care about you and they show you consistently that is something that I know deeply that I used to struggle with when I was anxiously attached. My husband was avoidant, and now we have a secure marriage and relationship. And can't wait to dive into these points with you. And I think at this point, by the time this drops, my husband Craig and I will be getting back from our little getaway. And I just say that, I will say that when we were long distance ish, and those of you, my OGs, know, so we live in Denver. We met in Denver at a baseball game. Cute story. But we met and dated while we were long distance ish. So I lived at the most southern part of Metro Denver, very far south. And Denver is actually, before it used to take 20 minutes to get anywhere. I think it's more like 30 minutes now. But I lived at the very bottom of the Denver metro area, and he lived in Boulder. And so if you're not familiar with Colorado, that's a distance. And given traffic, I mean, before at 5 o'clock in the morning or late at night, it would be like 55 minutes, 50 minutes. But during traffic, it's definitely like a 75, sometimes 90-minute drive. So it wasn't like we could just hang out casually. I could just go over to his house. It was definitely something that we had to plan around. We had to be very intentional around. And one thing that we did consistently, and that we still do to this day, it's just part of who we are, is we love setting our sights on something that we can look forward to. And travel and doing little getaways has always been part of our culture of how we relate and how we feel connected in our relationship. So we haven't even chosen where we're going to get away to. So that's kind of exciting. I think we're just going to do a little bit of Google Flights roulette to see where we land. And it also just kind of throws me back to when we were living full time in RV life. We had a beautiful tiny home camper that we were traveling around. And it just was so cool and fun to live that lifestyle where that's what we did. We made our life the getaway. And now that we're not living RV life anymore, it feels really important for us to establish this thing to look forward to and look forward towards. And whether you are long distance actually in right now in your relationship, I've had some clients who are bi-coastal, or you or their partner was just not consistently in the city. I do believe this is really important for not just actual physical distance, but for the emotional distance. Like it helps to have something to look forward towards. So something that I highly recommend. And speaking of long distance, I have a one-on-one client who first of all, let's just congratulate her. Like, amazing job she just got accepted to a medical school and she lives in Hawaii. I'm sure she already knows if she listens to the podcast. But she reached out to me. She's an alumni of one-on-one coaching, and she's going to come see me here in Denver. We're going to hang out for a little bit. But one thing that she is so great about is she kind of updates me pretty, I wouldn't say quarterly, but she'll update me when things are popping up for her in her healing journey, and she hits a milestone. And it's so sweet. Again, when she first signed up with me, it was a little messy. I love you, but it was a little hot messy. And not only did she get accepted into medical school, which was something that she was working through as we were working together, but I will just say the reason why her self-esteem, her self-worth, her confidence, her trusting the process with her overthinking, hands down. And I can say this across the board for the women that are in my community I work with one-on-one. This is a common character trait. She showed the fuck up. Like, she did not have any excuses. I mean, in medical school, working, or applying for medical school, working, and she lived in a completely different time zone. She was in Hawaii time, and she would schedule one-on-one coaching before she'd have to go to work, and like in between her very busy schedule. And she just showed the fuck up. I mean, she not only participated, but she did it all the way. She was all in. And I could just say that for all my one-on-one clients. Like, when you commit to yourself, that's where the change happens. And so just so much love to you, and congratulations on medical school, and just can't wait to wrap my arms around you. So excited. Okay, let's dive into how can you feel like a freaking priority? You know what I mean? So this is going to also be some tough love. And if that's not your vibe, then I don't know, but pick another podcast, pick another person to listen to, because I'm going to give it to you real. All right. So there's a couple of layers to this, and that's part of just my teaching style and really how I see getting back into alignment within yourself to not be overthinking, to not feeling anxious. And so the first part that I feel is important to address if you want to feel like a priority is, a lot of times what I see is that there is this feeling like your partner should perform and they should give you this certain level of attention, a certain level of communication. They should be giving you a certain amount of affirmation. And if you're operating from that standpoint and you feel like there's a certain level, there's like, 1 out of 10, right? They should be consistently doing this number. Then and if they do that consistently for you, you make up that you feel safe, you feel prioritized. And to me, that is a very, very, very slippery slope. To me, that sounds a bit of a way of measurement that's just not realistic. So I say that because, for example, Craig was a teacher. He was a teacher of was going to say he was a teacher of math. That just sounds so bizarre to say. He was a math teacher for 15 years. And I got this very clear with this mindset of mine that was, I would call stinking thinking right away, because in the things that felt important to me in relationship, I wanted a man who was clear with his goals, that felt passionate, that was committed to his career and his journey. And Craig was a great teacher. I mean, I just see this even now in who he is. It was so funny when we sold our camper, our tiny home, and we're trying to just get in and out, right? We want to drop this thing off, and at the same time, this was our home, and I had to jam with him before we dropped it off around, okay, we're just gonna like unpack it and get it set up for them and then like leave. And of course, what should have taken an hour took us 2.5 hours, because he is such a good teacher and he wanted to really show the person that bought it the process. And I mean, I get it. I couldn't shut up either, because I also love process. This is one of the things that very few things we have in common. We love making sure that there's process. And one thing that was clear to me with this mentality that, okay, well, if he gives me this special level of attention, and I'll start with a very surface level thing, like he has to text me during the day. That was not going to happen with Craig. And I want you to think about this. How much would you respect if you had a kid, a middle schooler, or any kind of child, and their teacher was texting during the day? Get out of here, right? Like he, as a man of high integrity, I would almost say integrity is almost a problem for him. He was not going to text during school. There was just no way. He was not going to like stop and like, hey babe, no. And honestly, I love that. I love that he was so committed to his students, like a good teacher should be, and being totally present, that I really faced my own belief around, okay, he has to text me during the day. That was not happening with Craig. And he was there at school. He did after school activities. I mean, it was a full work day. And so when I was faced with the stinking thinking of like, well, he needs to text me this times a day, and it was just like, that was a hard no. That was not going to happen. And I really got to face that really clearly and see, oh, wow, I know this person is really committed to his career. He's committed to me. Like, why do I think that? Why do I think that if he texts me X amount of times during the day that I will feel better? So that was like the first crack in this thinking. And when I started to deepen into this, I started to realize that when I was outsourcing the feeling of safety and worth, right? If he cared enough about me, he would text me that I'm a good girlfriend. Like I'm good. That it gave me this illusion that priority is something that they give me, like that priority was something that he would bestow upon me to validate my worth, versus going internal and really fostering my own worth from the inside out. So I want to say that again, because I think this is also a big thing. That one of the big things is that when we outsource the feeling of worth, that, okay, if they text me X amount of times, that means that I'm pretty, or I'm good, or I'm a good girlfriend, it becomes really dangerous, because we are outsourcing our worth. And a great way to think about this is, what would you say about somebody who bases their value on external validation, like the amount of likes they get on their posts? Crickets, right? Let's just take this into a different context. What would you think about somebody who base their value as a person and their worth and what they their gifts and what they have to give based on how many likes they get on a post? Slippery slope, right? Because they're outsourcing. They're saying, I'm valuable and worthy because this picture of me eating ice cream in a cute outfit got this many likes. Like, that is outsourcing our worth. And I started to realize on one of the deepest levels that, oh, I was relying on him to make me feel like a priority, that it's his job to make me feel like a priority. Okay. So already kind of slippery. And the other layer that I discovered for this on my own too, that I want to kind of share here, is that when we push, so say that you don't feel like a priority and you push to feel like a priority, you give them ultimatums. You say, well, you need to do this, or you imply that, whether you say it outright or it's this unspoken, I'll call it energetic thing. When we outsource and we give this impossible emotional labor, okay, to our partner, because that's emotional labor, right? We are dumping onto them the responsibility to make us feel better, to make us feel like we're the priority for something that's really our own internal issue. This is also why you might experience that it never feels enough. Like nothing they do feels like enough. I call this like the reassurance clock. It resets, right? They show you in some way that they care and that you matter. And then that might be cool for the day, for the weekend, the week, but then inevitably it pops back up because it's not a them issue. Okay? I love you. It's not a them issue. So again, if you want to feel like a priority, then you have to really evaluate, are you trying to tally or put a certain measurement to feel safe on your partner, to feel prioritized, right? Are you outsourcing? Are you making them? Are you giving them the ultimate power to fill you up? And are you pushing on them this impossible emotional labor? And I say that because also you might be feeling that they're tired of that labor, like straight up. They might feel tired of that labor. And I knew this too. I'll just say this, that this was very obvious to me in my 20s. Well, I take it back. It's obvious to me now. I was oblivious to this in my 20s, where I was dating these guys. I was a monkey bar commitment girl. I would date for 2 or 3 years, and I'd kind of keep them hanging around, and then I get a little interest in somebody else, and boom, I was like on to the next one. I just kind of swing from one to the next. I was a commitment monkey bar swinger. I don't know how to say that. Y'all can DM me something fun to say. But when we were breaking up, it was so crazy because each one, in different ways, but definitely the feeling was the same. They basically said they didn't feel like they were enough. And they didn't feel like they were good enough. And by the first one, I was like, hell yeah, motherfucker. You're not good enough for me. Then by the second one, I was like, this is like weird. Like they're kind of saying in this like breakup conversation, that's kind of the same thing. And by the third one, I was like, okay, this is creepy. And now I realized, because with all of them, I was asking them to carry this emotional labor that was not theirs to carry. And they were really lovely, like sweet, loving, good partners. And I just did not want to hear it. I was not in a place to. So I say that, and that's some real talk around it, that you want to look first inside. Like, are you putting this emotional labor on your partner when that's not really theirs to carry? So, and we're diving into exactly that topic in the Healing Girl Gang this month, of how can you actually feel like a priority without feeling needy. That's also a key thing. So how do you do that without coming across needy, without begging? How do you actually get your needs met in that way? So speaking of Healing Girl Gang, one of the cool things we do inside the Healing Girl Gang, besides doing in-depth, deep dive trainings around things like how to feel like a priority and not be needy, self-sabotage, feeling distant, implementation days where I lay it out for you step by step with a process, overthinking detox, where I literally give you mini actions to help with your overthinking. We also give support. I also give support. And one of the ways we do that is here on the podcast and also on the trainings. So let's see. Liza, she says, divorced after 21 years. Dated for a few years, which actually made things worse. Now in a relationship with someone who is stable and healthy, But boy, do I get triggered and spiral. How do I get out of this and just enjoy the here and the now? So I want to say this because I feel like it's an important piece, which is it's not uncommon in my practice and what I notice with one-on-one clients that a lot of them actually have, I'd say with my one-on-one clients, half of them have been divorced. And what I found, and there's no science behind this is just my own observation, so anecdotal, where this anxious attachment, and this was true for me too, just on a personal level, where I did not have what I would consider anxious attachment until I had like the atomic bomb of toxic relationships in my experience. And I noticed this too with the women that I work with that have been divorced and have been married before and they're dating again, or they're in the dating pool, they're in a relationship, is that a lot of times those strategies were latent. They were dormant. They were not coming out. And Saturn return energy, maybe like it's kind of coming up for review where that the strategy is no longer working. The mask is off. If you're neurospicy, you know what I mean by masking. And I do feel we all have masks. So what I would like to say is that this is the opportunity, Liza. This is the opportunity for you to, oh, okay, I get to learn a different strategy. I get to learn how to do this differently. And when I say learn how to do differently, like what do you do differently when you're triggered? What are you going to do differently when you are overthinking? This is all up for review for you and to show an opportunity for you to do things differently. And one thing that you're asking here, how do I get out of it and just enjoy the here and now? So to me, there's a couple of layers to this where on a physical level, you are in fight or flight, like your literal ability to enjoy and feel pleasure gets turned off if your strategy system, your nervous system is activated. So, and it's kind of like being a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And that's really kind of how the nervous system can be too. Like either you are in your head and you are thinking about all the worst case scenarios, or you are connected and present and building that intimacy in the here and now. So it's a little bit of what is happening in your nervous system, and also what patterns of thinking, what patterns of logic are not working. And this is also why you might know in your head that you're with a really safe, wonderful partner, but you feel different. It doesn't feel safe. And that can feel really disconnecting. It feels jarring a lot of times, and it feels frustrating because you're like, I know like something's just going on for me. So, and the last piece I'll say is, how are you practicing that? How are you practicing enjoying the here and now? Because if you don't have a grasp of that, or you're not doing that consistently for yourself, cultivating a practice of presence, then yeah, when it's game time, you're not going to know how to do that. You're going to feel disconnected. You're going to feel in your head because you're not used to it. So it's a couple of layers here around it. And the great news is you're in the Healing Girl Gang. So we practice all those. We get all those different ways and perspectives firing in a way that you can experience. So I'm excited for you to discover that for yourself inside the Healing Girl Gang. And if you have questions or you want to know more about it, the link's down here in the show notes. Sending all of you lots of love. Mwah.